Hey guys, it's Grayson, and I am outside for once. Um, Took me a while to get this set up, um, because I was originally over there, sitting on a stool, comfy, and the lighting was awful. So, I'm on the ground, now with the table, holding the camera. Anyway, today's topic, um, that I'm going to cover is coming out, so I'll do my coming out experiences, friends, family, stuff like that. And yeah, so I came out to. Okay, I didn't really have any friends in grade 9 or 10. At school, I didn't talk to anybody. I sat by myself every day and just didn't speak at all. And then I went home and, didn't speak to anyone there either. So, but halfway through grade 10, I started talking to one of my friends now who is the leader of GSA at my school, and at first she kept inviting me to the meetings because then I'd be sitting by myself um, at lunch when there was a meeting, um, and I said no, I didn't want to go. It made me feel uncomfortable because I knew that I was part of the community, the LGBT community that is, and I didn't want to admit it to anyone, so I didn't want to go. And she kept saying like, oh, there are allies there, and you can, you'll fit in, it's okay. But I wasn't ready yet. So then, after a few times of her asking me, I started going, and I came out to her after 2 meetings or something. I came out to someone else first, but I came out to that person kind of because I was angry and they were asking the wrong questions when I was in the wrong mood, and I just kind of like let it out because it was gonna explode. But the very next day I came out to this friend who's the leader of GSA, who I intended to come out to first anyway. Um, and I mean, there's so many trans kids at my school that, um, you know, it wasn't an issue. So all of my friends, I kind of cheated really, because to that one friend, I texted her. She identifies as well, not in the trans community, but somewhere on the sexual orientation spectrum. Um, so I texted her and said, how did you come out to your parents? And she told me how, and then she asked why, and I just said, because I'm trying to figure out how to tell my parents I'm trans. And she's like, oh, okay, and that was it. And then when I saw her next, which was on the Monday, I did it on a long weekend, so I wouldn't have to see her for like 4 days. And then when she saw me, she asked me what name I was gonna go by, and stuff like that. Um, then some other trans people at my school, I came out to them. Also, in that way, I just said like, I'm thinking of telling my parents I'm trans this week or something. And they just went like, oh, okay, I thought you were just at GSA because you were a gay guy. But so like pretty much the people that I knew were already using male pronouns for me anyway. So it wasn't like anyone had to switch, because I had just met them and they all perceived me as male. So it wasn't like it was only really a couple, like that one friend and a couple other people, but they'd only known me for a couple weeks anyway, so it wasn't like the biggest surprise. So that was friends. Family, I came out to my friends at the very beginning of April 2012. May 2012, I came out to my parents, specifically my mom. So basically, I cheated with this one too. There is an LGBT youth group in my area, and I had been wanting to go to it for a long time, and it's about a half-hour walk from my house. I walk now, but I didn't at the time. And I wanted a ride there, but I couldn't my parents are the type of people that you just go, I need a ride here, and they'll just take you. You kind of got to tell them where you're going. They won't just, drive you somewhere. So, plus I never left the house either, so me asking to go somewhere the first time in like 3 years was kind of a surprise. So my dad was home and he was sleeping on the couch, and I paced around for like 40 minutes, and I knew it would take 7 minutes to drive there. So I'm like, it's now or never, because if I don't do it now, I'm not gonna go, because it'll have already started. So I basically waited till the very last minute to ask him to take me, and I woke him up and said I was shaking, and my voice broke like 4 times, and I just said, Dad, can you take me to this LGBT youth group? And he just said, what does that stand for? Because he was like half asleep, and I just said lesbian, gay, bisexual, and I barely got out the word transgender. And he's like, oh, okay, and I was really surprised that he actually took me. He didn't talk on the way there. My sister was in the car because no one else was home to watch her. So he took me, and I was really nervous. And then we didn't talk about it again. But my mom came into my room 2 days later, and said, so your dad told me that you went to this group? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, do you want to talk about it? And I asked her if she knew what transgender was, and she said, sort of, a little bit, but like, can you explain a little bit? So we talked for like an hour about things, and she immediately said, after I asked her if she knew what transgender was, and after she said sort of, she's like, I thought you were gonna tell me you were a lesbian or something easy like that. And she's like, cause you kind of like dressed like Ellen and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, thanks, Mom. I never really showed interest in anyone, really. Like, as far as my parents know, I've never dated anybody. I've never, well, I mean, now they know that I have a girlfriend, but that was later. So that was pretty easy, and my mom told my dad, and then I said, can you tell my sister, because her and I don't really get along that well. She's a couple years younger than me. We don't get along that well, and I just thought that she would blow it off if I said something. So I wanted her to hear it from my mom, so that she knew it was actually like legitimate and not like a whatever, me just trying to hassle her or something. And apparently she cried. That's what my mom said. But we're alright now. My brother cheated with that too. We go to get pizza like 4 times a week, and we were going to get pizza, and we were waiting for our pizza in the store, and this lady comes in, and we were ordering a whole pizza for ourselves, and then my sister wanted 2 slices separately. So we had 2 slices and then a pizza, and we were going to walk out the door, and this lady and her husband look at us, and they go, what, so you're going to eat the whole pizza now and save the slices for later? And then, like, to my brother, he starts laughing. He goes, no, not really. And then she goes, what, you're going to give the slices to your little brother here and then eat the whole pizza yourself? And then we just kind of laughed about it and walked out after that. We talked with them for a little bit more. And then we went out, and I was like, oh, they're nice. And my brother's like, why? Because they thought you were a guy. And I said, yeah. And then he said, so what, you're a guy now? And I'm like, actually, now that you mention it, yeah, I'm a transgender guy. And he's like, oh, okay. And that was it. That was actually it. My brother and I are really close, so it wasn't a surprise to him, because he constantly told his friends that I was more of a guy than he was, and, like, he just treats me like his little brother, and he treated me like that anyway, so it wasn't a big thing with him. And it took everybody a few months. I finally broke down, and I said to my mom, we really need to work on the pronouns and name, because I can't do this right now. I can't handle the female pronouns and stuff, because it wasn't working. And so we chose a name together, and they started calling me that in October, a few weeks before my birthday. So that was good. Yeah, I'll probably make another coming out video, like coming out to myself, or coming out at school. Probably when I start school in like a week and a half, I'll make a high school transit in high school video or something like that. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that your coming out experiences were as not easy, but like pleasant as mine. And if not, then hang in there and leave a comment, questions, topics. Thanks, guys. See ya.